Today, a boy was riding his bike through the wide green countryside with his latest girlfriend, really enjoying the romantic atmosphere, when they bumped into Young-sook, the short girl who runs the school's female gang. She's had feelings for Joong-gil forever, so seeing him with someone else made her furious. But she's used to this kind of thing, so she went back to fighting with a girl gang from another school. The leader from the opposing side landed a heavy punch right on Young-sook's face. Just another typical day. Young-sook drove her knee into the other girl's stomach and knocked her out cold. After the two leaders made their flashy arrivals, the female gang members went at each other in a chaotic fight on the train headed to school. Shu, who's Joong-gil's closest friend, got slapped by a girl for being a weirdo. And, living up to his reputation, Joong-gil, known around town as the womanizer, shared his ultra-secret dating techniques with his friend. First, place the back of your hand against her cheek. If she doesn't panic, then you flip your hand over and begin caressing her. Works like a charm every time. Later that same day, the teacher gave a lesson about sex. The diagrams showing female body parts made the boys whistle and yell. The teacher warned them, a guy's equipment only works about 40 times in his life, so you boys need to be careful, especially you, Joong-gil. Sounds like he's already got a certain reputation. Over in the girls' classroom, the teacher was also covering male anatomy. While the other girls blushed and acted shy, Young-sook, the big boss, couldn't have cared less. She just stretched out across her desk, completely asleep. Joong-gil began his smooth campaign on a new girl. He gallantly helped a short-haired girl mark the soccer field for gym class, then used the chance to write an invitation to dinner in the dirt. Her two friends warned her not to fall for that player's tricks, but she couldn't resist his gorgeous looks, so she agreed to the date with Joong-gil anyway. She insisted, "I'm not an easy catch." But with his slick talking, Joong-gil quickly made the young girl go soft. "I just can't stop looking at you. You're so gorgeous. I've never seen anyone with elbows as pale and lovely as yours." As they were heading home, they ran into Jong-suk, the head of the neighboring school's boy gang. Joong-gil was absolutely terrified of this thug because he always loved to beat him up. Fortunately, Young-sook told her crew to call Jong-suk away, so Joong-gil managed to get out of there. Even though she never showed it, Young-sook was always keeping an eye on him and looking out for him. It turns out Jong-suk's gang and Young-sook's gang were allies. This gang leader also had a long-running crush on Young-sook. She asked Jong-suk why he was always picking on Joong-gil and learned that Jong-suk's little sister had run away from home after being dumped by that same playboy. Joong-gil was relieved to have dodged danger, so he invited his date to a movie using his trademark pickup lines. With just a few touches, the womanizer had the innocent girl melting into his arms. Back at home, he eagerly added her name to his list of victories, then danced around admiring himself in the mirror and complimenting his own handsomeness. This guy seriously has issues. Young-sook's family ran a bar that stayed open late, and the customers were always singing at the top of their lungs. The girl waited wearily outside until the patrons finally cleared out. By that point, only Joong-gil's father was left in the bar. Ever since his wife left, he always came to drink alone until late into the night. Young-sook went back to her room and pulled out an old compass to look at. It was a keepsake she held very dear. The next morning, Young-sook's mother brought some fruit over to thank Joong-gil's father for helping her with the gardening. She turned red and smiled shyly when he noticed her new hair clip. Could it be that she had feelings for this neighbor? Joong-gil saw the two of them having a nice time and got irritated. He still blamed his father for being a charming womanizer, which he believed was why his mother abandoned the family. But now he's just as much of a player as his dad. So what right does he have to complain? Joong-gil was sitting around talking in class when a kid ran in shouting, "There's a new transfer student from Seoul, and she's prettier than Hollywood actress." All the boys rushed over to check her out, but Joong-gil stayed put, trying to look cool. It's just flirting, no big deal, right? A few minutes later, he casually strolled over to the girls' classroom. Wow, light skin, pretty face, absolutely adorable. He'd spotted a tempting new target, but his girl watching session was cut short by Young-sook's stare. Yeah, what does this new girl have that she doesn't? When Young-sook walked past, her crew bowed down and greeted her. So cool and stylish. She told her crew to grab Joong-gil so she could treat him to some sweets. "Hey, you're pretty good at flirting, aren't you? So why don't you try flirting with me? Meet me at the warehouse tonight at 8. Wow, the big boss making a move on a guy in her own unique way, even bending a spoon like she's threatening him. That night, Young-sook got all dressed up and put on heavy makeup. The normally tough leader looked surprisingly feminine. After all, she was still just a young girl at heart. So Young-sook was genuinely excited about her date with her crush. But Joong-gil had his friend send a message saying he had an emergency and couldn't come. She was incredibly let down. Young-sook was about to head home when some guy grabbed her backside and gave her a creepy grin. "What the hell? You want die fish?" The leader flew into a rage and shoved a handful of sand down the creep's throat. Turns out, this guy had been practicing the new pickup techniques he'd learned from teacher Joong-gil. But he picked the wrong person to try them on, definitely asking for trouble. The following day, Kwang-shik's gang declared war on the gang from Joong-gil's school. The two leaders started throwing rocks at each other, and in the end, the leader from Joong-gil's school got knocked unconscious. He was about to go home when he noticed Young-sook standing behind him. He desperately explained that he'd stood her up because he was scared of making Kwang-shik jealous. Young-sook was livid and was about to punch Joong-gil, but he took the chance to say, "This isn't love, it's intimidation." Kwang-shik saw Joong-gil talking to his crush, called him over, then punched him as a warning. Poor Joong-gil could only clutch his stomach in pain. To make matters worse, he got punished by the teacher for failing grades. "Why did you purposely get a 0 in Japanese?" "Well, my grandfather was brutally tortured by the Japanese military, so I've hated Japan ever since." "So, does your grandmother hate America? Then why is your English grade also a hopeless 0? Joong-gil's friend dug up some information about the new hot girl, Sohee. She was born here, but moved to Seoul when she was little, and her family is wealthy. Rumors say she had to come back home because she has tuberculosis. Joong-gil wrote a note to Sohee asking to meet up. She read it, but didn't seem particularly interested. Young-sook saw the love letter written on a leaf and knew right away who had written it. When a meeting time came, Joong-gil was clearly let down when Young-sook showed up instead. That day, Young-sook had purposely braided her hair into pigtails to try to look like Sohee, but they looked odd and crooked. "Waiting for Sohee? She's not coming. Why do you like her so much?" "Because she's pretty." Hearing that, Young-sook stormed off in a huff. During break, Joong-gil was chatting with his friends when he spotted Sohee sitting alone. He saw an opportunity to sit next to her and start a conversation. He used the same flirting moves that had worked on so many girls before, but this time they didn't work at all. So he just got annoyed and walked away. A hot girl from Seoul is on a whole different level. Today, the entire school went on a field trip. Under the hot sun, the hot girl, so he was sitting alone in the field painting, coughing every now and then. She handled the brush skillfully, looking like a real artist. You'd think a masterpiece was about to appear, but the final result looked like something a 3-year-old would draw. Next came the talent show. After the teachers did a duet, it was Sohee's turn. She sang an English song that sounded like a lullaby, and Joong-gil stood behind her providing backup, occasionally throwing in a random harmony. His friends down below looked bored. No one liked this English song. Then someone started chanting for Young-sook. So Young-sook and her crew went up to perform, and their K-pop routine was just as much of a disaster. She was dancing and flirting with Joong-gil, giving him goosebumps. Not long after, Joong-gil's older brother passed the prosecutor's exam. These days, being a prosecutor is a pretty sweet deal, so his brother got showered with attention and care from the whole family. They even threw a big party and invited the whole village to celebrate. Joong-gil was brooding alone when his father started yelling at him for not studying as hard as his brother, and then he was forced to work as a server at the party. Young-sook, who was delivering alcohol, saw everything. The next day, she bought Joong-gil a nice new pair of shoes as a gift. Joong-gil pretended not to like them, but when Young-sook tried to take them back, he said, "I'll accept them just this once." He loved them, but had to act cool. But this handsome boy had bad luck. While he was happily trying on his new shoes, the bully Kwang-shik robbed him of them. That day after school, it was pouring rain. Joong-gil gallantly brought an umbrella to Sohee, hoping to earn some points with her. But the hot girl got picked up in a car. Disappointed, he handed the umbrella to Young-sook and went home. Annoyed, the leader threw it away. She'd rather walk home in the rain. The next day, Joong-gil tried a new approach, buying a cushion and placing it on the hot girl's chair. But later, he came back to find the cushion gone. It turned out Young-sook had taken it for her own seat. He was furious but didn't dare say anything. The following day, the whole school had a volunteer work session in the rice paddies. Suddenly, the hot girl screamed. It turned out a leech had attached itself to her leg. Joong-gil seized the moment to pick her up, carry her to dry land, remove the leech, and passionately suck the venom out of her leg, shocking everyone. What poison is that perverted kid even sucking out? So he went to the nurse's office for first aid and to get some medicine. When she came out, it was already dark and the country roads had no streetlights, so she was feeling her way along with a shiver running down her spine. Suddenly, a flickering light appeared from behind. It turned out Joong-gil was riding his bike with the headlight on from a distance. He offered to give her a ride home, but Sohee refused. Not wanting to miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, he rode ahead a bit and used his bike light to show her the way. Thanks to him, Sohee was able to safely follow him to the bus stop. Joong-gil rode behind her, feeling like it was Christmas. He was certain he'd gain some points with the hot girl. The next day, Sohee met Joong-gil at the bakery and gave him a gift to say thank you. Joong-gil seized the chance to ask her to get noodles and see a movie, but she turned down both and instead said she wanted to go roller skating. Joong-gil took her to an abandoned swimming pool. The city girl glided along gracefully, while Joong-gil stumbled and fell over and over. It hurt a lot, but he was happy because he'd finally made her laugh. Seeing that Sohee was interested in a motorcycle parked by the roadside, Joong-gil invited her to go for a ride. "Oh, you know how to ride a motorcycle? Is there anything Joong-gil can't do?" Actually, he had some other guy drive them around. He couldn't ride it himself. Still, it was a success because he got the pretty girl to hug him and smile. Later, they happened to pass by Young-sook's house while she was helping her mom clean up the bar. The short leader saw them together and silently went inside crying, leaving her mom confused. And the wealthy Sohee was subtly looking down on Young-sook's poor circumstances. At their usual black bean noodle restaurant, Joong-gil sat close to Sohee to make it easier to flirt. Using his usual tricks, he put his hand on the girl's thigh to test the waters, but she suddenly got up and left. Joong-gil tried to stop her to explain, but he accidentally grabbed her bra. She got furious, called him a pervert, and left, also criticizing his ugly pants. For the first time in his life, the unbeatable handsome boy tasted the bitterness of unrequited love. He tore up the photo marking his conquest and threw the criticized pants in the trash. From that day on, Joong-gil was like a ghost, not caring about eating or drinking, sitting in class with his head down sobbing, surprising everyone. Where was the arrogant, charming playboy from before? One day, Young-sook caught Sohee bringing cigarettes to class. "What's this? You have tuberculosis and you're smoking cigarettes." "My dad must have accidentally put them in." Seeing that Young-sook didn't believe her, so he called her into the girls' bathroom to talk privately, asking Young-sook to keep her smoking a secret. Young-sook, who had been irritated with this girl for a long time, naturally refused. Suddenly, the hot girl took off her outer jacket and aggressively lunged at Young-sook, kicking her. The two girls grabbed each other's hair and fought fiercely. Turns out the hot girl was also a street fighter. Not so innocent after all. When Joong-gil broke down the door and rushed in, she fell to the ground pretending to be bullied by Young-sook. Joong-gil sadly helped her up, thinking Young-sook had torn off her clothes. A misunderstanding occurred, and the leader was wrongly accused, unable to explain herself. The principal called the girl's parents in to resolve the situation. Young-sook's mom was messy and rural in style, while Sohee's dad was dressed expensively, bringing gifts for the principal. He spoke scornfully about Young-sook's family running a bar, and Young-sook's mom brought up how he used to clean the toilet for her family. He got embarrassed and cursed back, and the two went at each other fiercely. Disappointed, Young-sook ran back to the classroom to pack her things and thanked her teacher for the lessons. The leader decided to drop out of school, shocking her teacher and friends. Joong-gil watched Young-sook walk away dejectedly and could only sigh, heading home alone. Young-sook suddenly remembered a childhood memory with Joong-gil. Once, she forgot to bring her compass to class and was crying, afraid of getting scolded by the teacher. Joong-gil didn't hesitate to give Young-sook his compass and gritted his teeth, accepting the punishment himself. From that moment on, Young-sook's feelings for Joong-gil began to grow, almost unknown to anyone. Behind her tough, don't-care exterior was a girl who was very emotional and valued loyalty. With nowhere else to go, Young-sook went to Joong-gil's secret spot. That evening, Joong-gil arrived to see Young-sook's face bruised. He assumed it was from Sohee's father, not knowing the culprit was actually his fragile crush. Seeing that Joong-gil seemed concerned about her, Young-sook said that she wasn't good at studying anyway, so she wouldn't be going to college. But Joong-gil was smart. If he just worked a little harder, he would definitely get into college. Joong-gil went out to buy medicine for Young-sook, but when he came back, he found that she had fallen asleep. He gently adjusted her pillow, but he accidentally woke her up. The two looked deeply into each other's eyes, and then Joong-gil slowly leaned down to kiss Young-sook, just as Sohee arrived and saw the scene, angrily throwing a rock through the window. Joong-gil immediately left Young-sook to chase after and explain things to the hot girl. Hurt for being abandoned, Young-sook wandered the streets and ran into Kwang-shik. The aggressive bully questioned her, suspecting she had just slept with Joong-gil. Young-sook didn't bother denying it and coldly walked away, which only made Kwang-shik even more jealous. The next morning, he took his crew to get even with Joong-gil. The gang leader from Joong-gil's school initially protected him, but then the short-haired girl he had seduced whispered something to him, making him change his mind. It turned out that she was the gang leader's little sister. The law of cause and effect catches up with everyone. Even Joong-gil's two best friends abandoned him to save themselves. Only Young-sook heard the news and rushed to rescue Joong-gil. True to her reputation, Young-sook kicked away one crew member and threatened to throw acid in Kwang-shik's face if he caused any more trouble. But Joong-gil didn't seem grateful to Young-sook for saving him. Instead, he was upset about being in a love triangle and deliberately walked ahead, leaving her to follow behind, looking very pitiful. As Young-sook turned to leave in disappointment, Joong-gil finally asked her why she liked him, then admitted that he used to like Young-sook too. But because he thought his dad and Young-sook's mom were involved, he resented Young-sook and pushed away his feelings for her. Disappointed that Joong-gil gave up so easily, Young-sook threw her treasured compass into the river and walked away. It turned out that everything had a reason behind it. Joong-gil remembered the first time he met his dad, when he was living with his mom and grandmother while his dad was away working. The day his dad returned after 8 years away was also the day his mom left home. His father was frustrated and drunk, and Young-sook's mom helped him home. From then on, Joong-gil blamed his father and hated Young-sook's mom, and he grew distant from Young-sook from that day until now. Joong-gil's relationship with his father never got better. The next day, Sohee was kidnapped by Kwang-shik's gang. The bully suspected that Joong-gil had touched his crush, so he wanted to do the same to Joong-gil's girlfriend. Luckily, the teachers at school found out in time. The thugs left, and the teachers brought Sohee home. Just as Joong-gil arrived, he saw Sohee with messy hair and asked if she was okay, but she slapped him, making his nose bleed. "If you still like me, you have to kill Kwang-shik to avenge me." As they say, even the smartest people can turn into fools over a little love. Our handsome boy was obsessed with romance. Normally as timid as a rabbit, today he dared to take a knife to find Kwang-shik. But when he faced him, he shook like a leaf and got beaten up. Back home, Joong-gil decided to practice martial arts to get revenge, but his moves looked like a cat's, making one worry for his safety. Young-sook was thoughtfully looking at a ticket to Seoul when Kwang-shik appeared. When he threatened to kill Joong-gil to get revenge, Young-sook said she was willing to give up her leadership of the gang if he would spare Joong-gil. Kwang-shik asked her if she had even a little bit of feeling for him, and she answered firmly that she never had. Humiliated, Kwang-shik immediately handed over the leadership of the girl gang to Young-sook's crew member who was waiting nearby. It turned out this traitor wanted to take over and had secretly betrayed the leader. She immediately took her crew to punish Young-sook according to gang rules, but Young-sook didn't fight back. She stood still, taking the beating so they would spare Joong-gil. After a few days of practicing his cat-scratch kung fu, Joong-gil confidently went to challenge Kwang-shik, but this time the bully said he couldn't lay a hand on him and promised not to touch Sohee anymore. Joong-gil thought that was the end of it, but he couldn't resist adding, "Your sister didn't run away from home because of me." So Kwang-shik and his crew beat him up again. Back home, Joong-gil was scolded by his father for fighting over girls. He angrily yelled back, saying it was because his dad was a womanizer that his mom left. Seeing the tension escalate, Joong-gil's brother stepped in and revealed that his mom had actually left home to be with another man, not because of his dad. His father had been hiding this for years because he was afraid of hurting Joong-gil. He had even kept his wife's belongings untouched for years, hoping she would return someday. Only now did Joong-gil realize he had been blaming his father all this time and had wronged Young-sook's mother. The next day, Joong-gil heard from a friend that Young-sook had been beaten nearly to death by her crew, but had gritted her teeth and taken the beating to protect him. Later, he was insulted by Kwang-shik. "Why would she sacrifice herself for an idiot like you?" At that moment, Joong-gil snapped and started beating him up. Though late, he had finally understood the sacrifice Young-sook had made for him. While the muse Sohee wanted him to throw himself to his death to avenge her, Young-sook was always worried and willing to risk her life to protect him. Of course, Even if Joong-gil went crazy, he was no match for the bully Kwang-sik. He was beaten up again and pushed off the speeding train, but he grabbed Kwang-sik's jacket, causing both of them to fall into the river. Joong-gil woke up first and retrieved the shoes, then rushed to Young-sook's house, but it was too late. He broke down and cried bitterly when he learned from a letter she left behind that she had gotten on a train to Seoul. Young-sook wrote that she realized her whole world had always been Joong-gil, and she didn't care about anything else. This time, she was determined to find her own purpose in life. She gave Joong-gil many books, hoping he would study hard and achieve his dreams. Joong-gil could only choke back tears of regret as he felt the deep affection Young-sook had for him. The next day, the hot girl sent a love letter inviting Joong-gil to meet her at the Black Bean Noodle restaurant, but Joong-gil didn't go. Instead, he sent back the knife she had given him. The young playboy had finally grown up. Not long after, Joong-gil's uncle returned from Brazil with his fiancée. Joong-gil was disappointed to see that his uncle's fiancée was chubby and not as pretty as he had imagined. His uncle confided that he was a sailor who had traveled all over the world and met so many girls, but he only trusted this girl to entrust his life to. You shouldn't judge a person by their appearance. What matters is their heart and the feelings they have for you. Joong-gil said he didn't believe it, but deep down, he felt it was true. Time flew by, and Joong-gil passed the Agricultural University entrance exam with top honors. Meanwhile, Young-sook was now a hard-working factory worker at a sewing factory. Today, Joong-gil dressed up sharply in a vest to visit Young-sook at the factory. He appeared from behind her and handed her a bouquet of flowers, surprising her. Happy, but also a bit emotional. He had also found the commemorative compass that Young-sook had thrown into the river. The two held hands and kissed sweetly in front of the factory. After a wild youth, they finally found the happiness of their lives. Thank you for taking the time to watch. If you enjoyed it, please give us a like, share, or comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to get notifications when a new clip is uploaded. We truly need your support. See you in the next videos.